Yeah, February the 1st. Hope everybody's having an absolutely amazing day. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Hope everybody had a great trading day yesterday. We are doing our morning edition once again. I try to get these morning editions out, get them pretty succinct, get them pretty short, and get them rolling so that you guys can get them early before the markets open up. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. Glad you're able to find it and make us here. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below so that you get an update as to every time that we post a new video. And if you are new to the channel, we look at the same 10 to 12 futures markets every day, identifying potential turning points, utilizing lines that we leave on the charts. The reason we leave them on the charts is because we want you to see how trades develop over time, and then also how those lines may be relevant a week, 2 weeks, heck, even sometimes months after that they were created, and really kind of how those work. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So in the S&P, so here we're taking a look at the ES. The S&P is slightly up after in the after hours. We had a rally come up here in the overnight session, really in the lowest volume period, but then really starting at about 9 o'clock last night, we've been pretty steadily declining ever since. So if you turn the news on early this morning, it's funny, I listened to, I have Alexa, and I say, what's my flash briefing? And she says, futures are modestly higher this morning. As CNBC, as part of my flash briefing, it says futures are modestly higher, and it makes you feel like, hey, look, futures are up, things are going to be good. And then you look at the chart and you're like, no. And that's really why it's important to look at the chart and not just, and I really don't ever pay attention to the news. I just, it's something to listen to in the morning rather than sports sometimes. But we do still have an area, down here for a potential buy. We had set that up a while back, and price has not quite yet reached that area. We almost came into it last night, or yesterday afternoon, but we're unable to quite get there. Still a valid area. I still think there's opportunity in there. If you're looking at this thing first thing in the morning, and you want to look at it on a smaller time period, we put this in here as a potential selling opportunity yesterday. We never got up to there. We're actually in this looks like from what we're seeing, it may be our first down week in a while. Yesterday's reversal candle, if you use this pattern that we put in as a spinning top candle, we didn't get a full reversal because we didn't get higher than yesterday's high. Remember that if we're going to do the candle to candle style, you need higher than the prior day's high. Now, I will say for the month of January, this was, I think, the biggest month in like 4 years. It was a big month. We had a good, solid upward January with profit taking here towards the end of the month. This could have just been a little bit of a profit taking cycle here at the end of the month. I think we'll end up with a down week, but I really don't think the bull run is over. I just think that it gives you a better buying opportunity. I've gotten a lot of emails and tweets and texts and stuff from people that have said, hey, is this the crash? And I've said it over and over again, and I'll continue to say it. Don't try to pick the all-time high. Don't pull on Superman's cape. Don't spit into the wind, and don't try to pick the all-time high. I don't feel like we're at the all-time high. I feel like this is an opportunity to, look at all of these areas for potential short-term buying below us. Right? Now, notice I haven't gotten rid of any of these lines, and there's no reason to get rid of any of these lines because these lines are all still valid. Now, doesn't mean that they're all going to work for gigantic moves higher, but they may work for 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s, 1-to-1s. You may get a little bit of a turn when you trade those areas. So I'm not going to really touch anything in the S&P. I think we've got our levels pretty much set. Let's just leave those be moving forward. Looking at the Nasdaq. Now the Nasdaq, we have the area that we have in the Nasdaq is actually off of this breakout from this ascending triangle to the upside. The Nasdaq is a bit stronger than the S&P. So the Nasdaq has not really retreated as much as the S&P over the last few days. So just kind of keep that in mind as the market does go higher. Now we have some big stocks reporting earnings today. We have the A's. We've got Apple's report for earnings. We have Amazon reporting earnings today, and we have Alphabet reporting earnings today. So it's the A's, although Alphabet is Google. So, you've got earnings on the horizon. Facebook reported earnings last night. And then in Facebook, we've got about a 4% drop in the stock in overnight hours, but it's recovering apparently in the pre-market. I don't have pre-market turned on this account, but so Facebook, keep an eye on Facebook this morning, see where that thing opens up. It could get you an opportunity. But my point is that we've got some earnings coming out, and the earnings are going to have a strong effect on the Nasdaq. So let's just keep an eye on some Nasdaq positions today. There's a good possibility that today that the whole market will just kind of chop along sideways between our areas, waiting for those. I mean, those are big shoes that need to drop. Crude oil. Let's take a look at crude oil. So crude oil is bouncing off of our area. So if you're watching, if you're still sleeping when this is starting, hopefully you're waking up to a little bit of a Santa Claus trade. It's bouncing off of our area. If you're already up and moving, it's probably not a bad opportunity to get up and move some protections down just to lock in a little bit of gains. Your first target's going to be down here around 64.87, so we should reach that shortly. So hopefully that one's working out for you. Gold, we are still showing weakness in gold. We had this really one long candlestick yesterday, and the interesting thing about this long candlestick, let me get rid of this line. The interesting thing about this long candlestick is, what did it do to every single leftover buyer that was in this price points, right? If you think about price moving from leftover buyers, there can't be any more leftover buyers that were part of the original order inventory at these areas, because this wick had to wipe all of those out. Now, what I mean, what that does for me is that clears out really any of those orders from when price does get to our potential entry point. In the meantime, I think that you've got a potential entry point literally just above where we are. If you just go a smidge higher, you've got an entry point, and actually, if you really want to trim it down, you could just take this area right here. So you've got a fairly tight entry on this to give you a shot and to give you a potential on the entry point for gold. Let's go take a look at our bonds, Aussie, Euro, Canadian. The bond number. So looking at our bond number, we have, yesterday I talked about this as a potential breakdown opportunity. I didn't draw the line on it. I probably should have. I didn't draw the line on it, but somebody may have caught that breakdown from this bond trade off of here. We said we were putting in a bit of a base, look for a potential breakdown below, which would put your stop here. If you did get that short, now you take your stop and you move it down to just above this pivot high right here. So you should be dancing the happy dance if you took the breakout to the downside. The Aussie, see, there was a reason that we didn't take the long on this little pullback. We said that this area here looked like it had been, kind of hit a number of times. We removed the area, and look at how we've kind of come down. So this strong drop could get us into our opportunity in the Aussie. We're not there in the euro, so nothing has even come close in our euro opportunity, nor are we there in the Canadian dollar. So 3 opportunities in the currencies. I'm just being patient, waiting for them to come into my area. Set the trap, let the trap spring. Don't try to chase your prey, if you will. The Japanese yen is coming close to our area. That's the one that is the closest to coming in. It's not quite there yet, but keep an eye on this one later today. Now, I will say this: our arrival is not the greatest. You've got this little bit here above, just above. So, use your best judgment and best discretion on whether or not you get into that thing as it comes back out. So that being said, I'm going to log this thing off for the day. I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing trading day. If you've got any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, Chuck at IIEfinancial.com. I answer all my emails. At least I do my best to answer all my emails within 24 hours. So feel free to send me an email, even if it's just to say hi. I do love to hear from everybody. So, and then share this page with others. I want to really do my best to get as much of this information out as we can. And until next time, happy February. Talk to you tomorrow.